Oh, okay. That was weird. It was a few seconds of blackness there, but I'll have to edit that out maybe. But anyway, welcome back to Metroid Prime 2. Last time we met in Metroid Prime 2, we started to explore the Aegon Wastes. And now we actually have finally entered Dark Aether for the first time. And I never really got a chance to get into Dark Aether because I was too busy talking about other stuff. But now is the time to talk about it, and I'm pretty sure you already see the main problem with Dark Aether. So Dark Aether's main thing is that its atmosphere is dangerous to you. So upon stepping into any air into the air of Dark Aether, it'll start to constantly damage you. It's kind of similar to being in a lava-filled room without the Various suit. It's almost exactly like that. So you've noticed right now that my health drains like a motherfucker in Dark Aether. Luckily, we do get upgrade. We are going to be getting an upgrade that will somewhat make this a non-issue at the end of Aegon Waste. So really, we only have to suffer like this for the Aegon Waste. We don't have to suffer. But the thing is I still don't really like Dark Aether as a whole because of the constant damage thing. I know it is something, it is justified in the story that Dark Aether hurts you. It is justified in the story. I get that. But the thing is, to me personally, I've just never really been a big fan of it because it's a bit of a thing where I just don't like seeing my health drop like a rock when I'm just walking. And the other issue I have with Dark Aether is, so the only way to not take damage but also heal yourself a little bit at a time is by standing in these light barriers. But the thing is that it heals you very, very slowly. Meaning that, say you are running low on health and you're about to encounter a big fight, like one's about to come up, like you're about to fight the Boost Guardian or something. Well, unfortunately, you're probably going to have to stand on a light barrier for a little bit, meaning, guess what? You're going to be slowing your pace down. It'll be a huge pace breaker. Now, luckily, they do give plenty of light barriers, especially in Aegon Wastes. So standing here isn't a huge problem. So it's not really the atmosphere isn't a huge problem in the Aegon Wastes. Yeah, there's still areas where it's gonna, you're gonna be running around and getting hurt. But at least for the most part, you won't have to worry too much about dying to Dark Aether's atmosphere. Because, once we get the Dark Suit, it slows down the rate at which you lose health exponentially. Like, it is honestly fucking ridiculous how much the Dark Suit helps. And then when we get the Light Suit, which basically completely nullifies damage from Dark Aether's atmosphere. So, but you don't get that until you finish up the Sanctuary Fortress, so that's a suit upgrade we're not getting for a long time. But actually right now we're fighting the Jump Guardian, which this one isn't that hard, though for some reason I keep getting hit by the shockwave, even though I feel like I jumped over it, but maybe I'm just mistiming the jump and not realizing it. But basically what you want to do is you want to just shoot it with the charge beam or missiles or whatever you have on standby. So, yeah. And then when it does a purple barrier like that, that means it's about to jump. And by the way, can you guess what power-up we're going to be getting by fighting this guy? Did you say the plasma beam? Actually, I mean, I think I've already mentioned the beam weapons. I don't think we get either of them in this game. But we don't get the traditional beam weapons in this game. This is like the one game where we don't get traditional beam weapons like the ice beam, the plasma beam, and the what's the other wave beam and stuff like that. We don't really get the typical ones. Not that that's a bad thing, mind you. I mean, there is a thing about it that I don't like, and I think I already mentioned it a few parts ago, but I mean, I'll get into my thoughts of that when I start getting the new beams, but I will say now I'm not a huge fan of the beams in this game. Honestly, I'm not really a huge fan of a lot of the upgrades in this game that aren't already Metroid, like, if they're, that aren't Prime 2 exclusive. Because, I mean, a lot of these upgrades just fucking disappear after this game. And, I mean, for good reason. I mean, it makes sense. Samus doesn't need the likes of the dark suit or the light suit after she's finished here. So I don't see why she would keep it. She would keep either of them. Because in Prime 3, she starts off with, I think, like, the Various suit, the Morph Ball bombs, the space jump, if I remember correctly, charge beam, and missiles. Like, she starts off with that stuff. But, and I'm very curious to see, like, what upgrades Prime 4 is going to keep, if they keep any at all. I would hope they at least keep, like, the basic essentials. And, like, what I would consider to be, like, the essentials to me personally would probably be, like, the charge beam, the morph ball bombs, morph ball in the first place, the missiles. I would say those are kind of the essential upgrades that I think that she should keep for Metroid games going forward. But obviously, they're gonna do different things for every game, because I think Metroid Dread took away a lot of almost everything Samus had, except if I remember right. But like, I don't think Metroid Dread kept anything to my knowledge. I'm trying to remember Dread's intro. No, she doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't keep any. I don't think she keeps anything besides, you know, like, any of the agility she already had. No, I was going the right way, wasn't I? Where am I going? Me? Am I okay? I think I know what I'm doing. The guy being vague again, and I'm just like, oh, wait, I gotta go this way. Yeah, so I gotta use the newly acquired space jump, which is, by the way, just a double jump in this game. We have to use the newly acquired space jump to get over here, because I believe we're actually about to get our first Dark Temple key. Oh, yeah, we are. Now, technically, I could have saved this one for last, but the guide said to get this one first, so we don't fight the guide, I guess. But this is one of those that you could have gotten last, in all honesty, and I don't see the harm in it. But yes, so essentially what we have to do in every major area in this game is we need to find 3 Dark Temple keys in order to gain access to the boss fight of this area. So yeah, these are the Dark Temple keys right here. Yep, I'm scanning it for some reason, even though it doesn't add anything. So yeah, we got our first Dark Temple key for Aegon. And before you ask, no, they do not carry over to the likes of Torvus Bog or the Sanctuary Fortress, so don't even bother trying that. That would be funny as hell, though, for some reason. But these Dark Temple keys are pretty easy to get, because, you know, once you have the power-ups that you need to get it, you get it, no problem. The issue, I mean, the main issue is you just need to know what power-ups you need to get in order to, you know, get them. But again, usually a Dark Temple key is like right after you got your the power-up. Like, legit, like, we just got the space jump, and they gave us a Dark Temple key right there. Now, technically, I could have ignored it and went on to another one, but no. I'm different. Well, I'm pretty sure that's what the developers wanted you to do. They wanted you to use your newly acquired ability before going back to Light Aether, because that's what you're going to be doing throughout this entire game. Is you're going to be constantly flipping between Light and Dark Aether. It's kind of like The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, if you ever played that game, where you're going to be constantly flipping between the Dark World and the Light World. So, you know, I like that, but the thing is Link to the Past did a lot better. For one, in Link to the Past, you could do it pretty much anyway. You could transfer to the Dark World and Light World pretty much wherever you were standing, while in Prime 2, you have to do it through portals, meaning that and not to, you know, it makes it easy, you know, to know where you are, because guess what? Since the portals are in set locations, You know, it's pretty easy to know where you are just based on where you came out of a portal. And most of the time, most of the time, the portal is like at the edge of the border of the area that you can access without Dark Aether. Like, okay, so I'm gonna phrase this a little weirdly, so forgive me. But basically, Light Aether, you can reach anywhere you want in Light Aether with little to no issue. Dark Aether, there are some areas that are blocked off that you can't get to until you until you go to a portal in Light Aether, through Light Aether, if that makes sense. Like, you can't just access every area in Dark Aether straight up. You have to use Light Aether to get to certain areas, which is a little annoying, but it's also like, hey, you know, it's less strain on you because guess what? You're not worrying about your health as much. And plus, I mean, I would just try to avoid Dark Aether as much as possible because, I mean, inevitably you are going to have to go to Dark Aether. That's just an inevitability. There's no way around that. But, you know, minimizing how often you go to Dark Aether is fucking grand. But in Link to the Past, you know, I liked the idea of the Dark World because it was just easier. You know, puzzles revolved, and you know the same thing here is puzzles do revolve around Dark Aether, as you saw I believe the bomb door earlier. I think that was the last part, but I didn't mention it. Was in a dimensional flux, and then once I activated it via back in Dark Aether, it affected what happened. It affected the door in Light Aether too. So I did like that. I do like those kind of puzzles. Now, it doesn't happen often enough to warrant, you know, being like, oh, cool. You know, that, you know, it's a neat gimmick here and there, but it's nothing too crazy, I would say. But, but this is honest, but like the whole Dark Temple keys and stuff like that is another reason I'm not a huge fan of Prime 2's structure. Because I know this is going to sound really weird, but I really liked how Prime 1 was relatively open. I mean, yeah, you still had to use certain upgrades to get to certain places, you know, and you had to get them in a certain order. I get that. But the thing is that I didn't feel like I had to unlock keys in order to get to a boss fight, if that makes sense. You know, here they're basically saying, you know, the key to the boss fights back in Prime 1 were the power-ups you needed in order to get to the boss fight in the first place, or to defeat it. Like, an example to me, anyway, is Flagra from Prime 1. In Prime 1, in order to beat Flagra, you needed at least a charge beam, missiles, and the morph ball and morph ball bombs. You needed all of those. But the thing is that the game didn't lock you off from, like, the game didn't force you to get, like, 3 keys in order to face Flagra. Because essentially what this game is doing is you have to get a key, you have to get the power-up to get the key for the boss fight. So essentially you're getting 2 keys for 1 boss fight. You know, instead of getting the usual 1 set of keys, you're getting 6, technically. And I know that, you know, I know that the point, you know, it is justified in the story that the Ing locked them behind the temple keys. I get that. But I like the idea better of stumbling upon a boss fight. I say stumbling, but it's not really, you not really stumble upon a boss fight. Oh, yeah, by the way, we're actually heading to the Space Pirates. Oh, they see me. I was going to see if I could blow up that Phazon, but nah. That Space Pirate's floating in midair. I saw that. That guy was floating in midair. How did he do that? Yeah, but unfortunately, Phazon's back. And honestly, Phazon's not that much of a big deal in this game, is it? Now that I'm thinking about it. Because in Prime 1, it was, you know, it was his first appearance, you know, so yeah, it's a pretty big grand deal, and you had to use it to defeat Metroid Prime. The boss, not the game. You had to use it. In Prime 2, yeah, you encounter Phazon, but to my knowledge, it's not that important. Like, yeah, Dark Samus absorbs it in order to power itself up, but besides that, I can't really think of any sort of story relevance that Phazon has in this game. Now, I would assume that Phazon is actually, you know, part of the problem when it comes to Light and Dark Aether. I would assume so. That just seems like what they're leaning towards. I don't know. I never really paid attention to the lore of this game because, you know, as someone who doesn't revisit this game that often, why the fuck would I pay attention to the lore? But I mean, obviously, Prime 3 Corruption had a pretty big deal with Phazon because you know, Samus ended up getting corrupted by Phazon for almost the entirety of the game. No, that was a waste of a missile. But whoa, god damn, the bit rate. Well, it's gonna do that a lot. It did that a lot. It's gonna do that a lot because I mentioned this back in my Persona 3 Reload Let's Play Tuesday and Thursdays, by the way. Where I don't render the video for my, you know, that I watch for when I'm recording the commentary. I don't render it at full quality because that's just kind of impractical. You know, why would I want to take up more data for the video I'm gonna watch versus the final draft of the video, if that makes sense? I don't see the point in that. But that's just me personally. I mean, I'm the only one who sees it, so. But it doesn't stop me from commenting on it. Luckily, these space pirates don't think to look down. I mean, like, seriously, do they not see Samus moving around down there? Like, I feel like if, you know, any realistic person would look, I mean, then again, they are space pirates, so they aren't real to begin with. But, like, I feel like, realistically, like, someone would look down and be like, hey, Samus is under there. Underwear. Guys, he said underwear. Anyway. Anyway, that's our 4th grade joke for the day. Oh, now they see me. Actually, this is actually a bit of a fun lore that I didn't mention back in the Prime Let's Play, that to my knowledge. But it's one of my favorite pieces of lore from the game, from the Space Pirates, where the Space Pirates were actually... by the way, there is lore in here in the form of the Space Pirate logs. So that's why I'm bringing it up now. But back in Prime 1, the Space Pirates were actually trying to, like, replicate Samus's abilities, like, you know, the Morph Ball and stuff like that. But, like, I think they mentioned the Morph Ball specifically, and they said, like, every time, like, all the test subjects ended up, like, horribly disfigured, all of their bones were broken or whatever, so they were like, you know what, we're not gonna do that one, we're fucking done, we're just gonna move on. But they copied all of her beams, if I remember right, the power beam, the wave beam, the plasma beam, and the ice beam. I was trying to remember, it was like, what's the last one? Excuse me. Yeah, but if you're wondering what those white and purple doors are, oh shit. I'm not telling you. Well, I already mentioned the new beam upgrades, so that's kind of part of it. God damn it, Jenkins, stop breaking the windows! There's an email chain about Jenkins breaking windows to shoot Samus. Oh. Oh! Hello there. Goodbye there. Okay. I was really interested in that logbook, even though I don't read the logs. Alright. Wait, what happened to that one space pirate that was standing back there? Oh, I'm assuming he went through that door that was back there, I guess. But I was just like, where'd he go? Fucking coward. Unfortunately, I can't go out that way. I have to go all the way around. Even though Jenkins broke the window. Bastard. Oh. Ow. I had the Various suit on. That shouldn't hurt me. Oh, it's heat-based areas. Never mind. There we go. Yeah, just ignore him. Ah, shit. We got Metroids. Luckily, I'm pretty sure they'll never come out of their containment unit. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, but we got what am I doing? Yeah, let's let them out of their containment unit. They're Metroids. They're not gonna do anything to me. Dumbass. Oh. Nope. Wrong button, idiot. She's getting her morphle. Get her. Yeah, but these are Metroids from Talon 4. Or at least a Talon. Which I wonder how they got here. Oh, right. The space pirates that are here right now. Yeah, for some reason they're bringing Metroids with them here. I don't know why, but they are. I'm assuming it's because they want to experiment with Phazon and Dark Aether's atmosphere on Metroids, so I would assume that's the reason. Again, I don't know. And also, it is a Metroid game, so we have to have Metroids somewhere. Because I can't really think of a Metroid game that doesn't have its titular enemy. Dread, I guess? I mean, you could argue Dread does have a Metroid in there. I'm not going to get into that, but you could argue that. Metroid Other M does. Prime 3 definitely does. I know that. Wait, no, does Prime 3 have Metroids in it? I can't remember. Oh, no, they do. They do. Yeah, I can't think of... I don't think there's a single Metroid game that doesn't have Metroids in it. And before you say Fusion, no, the ending of Fusion had a Metroid in it. And again, you can also argue about Fusion. You could also argue about someone else in Fusion, just saying. Oh, no, actually, no, the tail end of Fusion, it had nothing but Metroids at one point. I don't know about Prime Hunters. I never played Prime Hunters, so I have no idea. I know Federation Force has Metroids, or at least a Metroid, because of the teaser for Psylux at the end of Prime Federation Force. Blast Ball? Does Blast Ball... Yeah, that exists, by the way. Blast Ball? Does Blast Ball have a Metroid in it? You know what? I'm going to look it up. I could just look up Metroid appearances in Metroid. Oh, nope, they are in the game. They are in Prime Hunters as a hologram. So yeah, I was right. Metroid Prime Hunters is the only game that doesn't actually have a physical Metroid in the game. No wonder no one likes that game. Just kidding. No wonder people don't play that game. There's no Metroids in it. This game's called Metroid and there's no Metroids in it. False advertising. Oh, by the way, this puzzle is pretty easy. I'm trying to get the energy tank first, but the thing was I was kind of rushing it, so that's why the thing wasn't going down when I was scanning it. Is because you have to wait for the first platform. You have to wait for the platforms to drop before you can go. But it's a pretty easy puzzle. You're just making staircases. You're just making stairs, and then once you do that, then you can get the energy tank, and then you just got to do the same exact thing, but the opposite way. Yeah, so you have to scan the little red thing right there, the little red panel. But you have to wait a second before you scan it again, because it won't do it if you rush it, if that makes... There you go. And that's how you know you did it the right way, is the cutscene. Thanks, game. I'm a little concerned about the playhead, because there's no way that I do this next boss fight in a minute and a half. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I definitely don't. Do I fucking... Oh, my fucking god, I left you assholes in suspense, didn't I? It's like I left it on a cliffhanger for next week. Yeah, so what you want to do here is you want to bomb jump your way up, but don't get hit by the lasers. So don't do what I'm doing. Don't be reckless. Oh no, I learned my lesson there. No, I didn't. Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, what? Wait, there was a little voice in my head that said, wait, aren't there lasers here? Luckily, I don't have to go that path ever again because, yeah, that's just a straight path now because I made it that way. Awesome. Oh, thank God, a save point as soon as I can get through the door. But first, lore. The lore. Well, shit. This is awkward because if you've played Prime 2, you probably know what's going to happen the second I go through that door over there. But, well, I'm going to have to leave you in suspense because, you know, this is the Sunday part. And, well, you won't know what happens until Saturday. So, thank you guys very much for watching. So the next time we meet in Metroid Prime 2, we're going to be going through that door, and I will say we'll be getting into a boss fight, because I already mentioned it. So, yeah, so see you guys next time for more Metroid Prime 2, and take care.